There comes a moment in life when it feels like everything is falling apart. The job ends. The relationship collapses. Friendships fade. The future you once imagined no longer fits. You look around and barely recognize the world you built. You look within and barely recognize yourself. It feels like failure, like punishment, like an ending too big to name. And in those moments, a quiet question forms. What if I'm losing everything? But Carl Jung might offer another possibility. What if you're not losing everything? What if you're being reborn? Jung believed transformation doesn't begin in comfort. It begins in dissolution. Before something new can emerge, the old self must be allowed to die. Not literally, but symbolically. He called it the night sea journey, a descent into darkness, where the ego, the identity, the persona, is stripped away, and the soul is invited to emerge. But that emergence doesn't feel poetic when you're inside it. It feels like chaos, emptiness, grief. It feels like wandering through fog. No direction, no map. It feels like being left behind by a life that once made sense. This isn't dysfunction. This is initiation. All true transformation begins with disorientation. We spend our lives building structures to feel safe. Roles, plans, identities, routines. But eventually, if those structures are too small for who we're meant to become, they begin to crack. And when they do, it feels like we are unraveling. But maybe we're not unraveling. Maybe we're shedding. Not all destruction is violence. Some destruction is sacred. A collapsing that clears the space for something more real to take root. Jung once said, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order." When life breaks you open, it's often because something inauthentic can no longer survive. The life that revolved around pleasing others, proving yourself, controlling every outcome, that life was never truly yours. And so, piece by piece, it begins to fall away. Not to punish you, but to free you. The ego resists this. It panics. It wants answers, timelines, certainty. But the soul knows. The soul speaks in symbols, in silence, in slow unfoldings. The soul isn't in a rush. It doesn't work by the clock. Rebirth is not a clean, cinematic moment. It's messy. It's the season where nothing makes sense, where old habits no longer satisfy, but new ones haven't formed, where you no longer believe what you used to, but don't quite know what to believe instead. This space, between the death of the old and the birth of the new, Jung called the liminal. It's like being inside a cocoon, formless, hidden, dissolving. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But inside, everything is changing. The caterpillar doesn't grow wings by adding them on. It dissolves completely. It becomes unrecognizable. And only from that formlessness can something new emerge. The same is true of us. We want clarity, but clarity comes after the dark, not before it. We want answers, but what we need is trust. Trust that the collapse is not the end of the story. It's the sacred middle. This kind of rebirth isn't loud. It doesn't look impressive. Sometimes it looks like staying in bed longer than usual, questioning everything, crying in the middle of the day, for no clear reason, realizing the things that used to numb you don't even work anymore. But even this is growth, because something in you is tired of pretending, tired of striving, tired of living a life built on survival, when what you truly want is to feel alive. And that kind of aliveness cannot be accessed without first letting the old identity die. Let it. Let the version of you that was always performing fall away. Let the plans rooted in fear fall apart. Let the illusions that kept you small collapse. It will feel like loss, because it is. But it is loss with purpose. It is grief that clears space. It is death that makes way for rebirth. You don't need to rebuild right away. You don't need to rush your healing. You don't need to have answers. All you need is to allow the unraveling to continue until it is done. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not being punished. You are being remade. And the new self, the one being born through all of this, won't need to strive for worth. It won't beg to be seen. It won't abandon itself for belonging. The new self will rise, slowly, from the ground of your own truth. Not built for others, not designed for survival, but born from the ashes of everything that was no longer real. Jung's work teaches us, this isn't a detour, this is the path. This is how the soul returns. Not through perfection, but through surrender. So if your world is crumbling, let it. If your identity is shifting, trust it. If everything familiar feels far away, be patient. You are in the chrysalis, and the wings are already forming.